Good morning, Kirsty. Welcome back to the VA Live Lounge. How are you?
Hello. All right. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Well, I had a nice break over Christmas. Did you?
Yeah, we were kind of all over the place, so it wasn't very relaxing. Christmas Day was fine because we were at home, but yeah, we kind of flitted all over the place. So, you were just at home, weren't you?
Yeah, we were at home. We didn't do a buffet, a traditional Christmas dinner. We did like a turkey crown with baps and then a buffet, and it was amazing because it was really like relaxed and we played games and we chilled out, and it was really really nice.
Good.
Yeah, so enjoyed that. I'm just having a look at where we go live somewhere on Facebook, and I have no idea where we go live.
Oh,
Um,
let's have a look.
well, it's just this weird way that Restream that we use works, but apparently, but I don't know where it is that we go live. It's really odd.
If anybody knows, feel free to put it in the comment.
Because it's all set up, but I'm like, where is this live then? I don't know where it is. I can't see it happening on on Facebook. So that's weird. Oh, okay. Never mind. Anyway, we're live somewhere. So we're live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram today. But the best place is on Instagram because that's the place where we can see all the comments and answer. I don't know why we can't see them in Restream because that's where I mean I pay for it. So really, we should see the comments, but we don't. But anyway,
Digressing.
we're talking today about the VA business model in 2026, what's changed and what still works, because I think a lot has changed in the VA industry over the last few years, and particularly since I started. Have you noticed that, Kirsty?
I have noticed a lot in the last year that clients' expectations have really like leveled up.
Mm,
I feel like, it's kind of switched, hasn't it? Because if you look back to when we first started, clients' expectation was just general VA work, wasn't it? But
yeah,
now it's progressed into building websites and, kind of CRM migration and all that kind of thing. And
mm,
I think it's gone from being, certainly from my side, from being simply admin support, I'm now doing like building a shop in the CRM system. And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Like, I used to just do like raising invoices and tidying people's inboxes. And now I'm like, what is going on? So
yeah.
I think it has just shifted so much into the more technical side rather than more general admin.
Yeah, you know what's so funny? That was top of my notes when I was thinking about this today.
Yeah.
Exactly what you've just said. People now, they know exactly what a VA is, but they've become really picky, and they can be picky now because they want things like you've just said, more of that tech support. Their expectations of what a VA can do is so much higher now, and so if you want to be a general VA, which is just basic admin, it's going to be harder, I think, because to sell just those basic skills, you're going to have proof and clear outcomes that it's worth taking you on. And I think clients want operators, people
Yeah.
that can run a function, not just support. They want you to be able to operate their business.
Mm,
I think they still want that reliability, proactivity,
mm.
all of those things, but I think that now clients are buying outcomes and not time.
This is the thing, though, isn't it? Because we've recently had this, haven't we? And I think the confusion with being a VA is that some clients do expect to get results
Mm,
with working with a VA, and actually, we're not there specifically to get those results. We're there to support that client in getting those results. So I think that's sometimes where I think it's kind of upped its level as well, because clients' expectations of us, growing their client database or growing their income is quite high.
yeah.
Whereas actually we're there to support them in doing that, to get them to that point, not to actually do it for them.
Yeah, 100%. And anybody that's tuned in and listening, let us know. Are you finding that clients are expecting more outcomes now? They're not just buying your time for general support. They're expecting you to operate, and they're relying on outcomes. Just drop it in the comments and join in the conversation. Be interesting to know if you're feeling that shift as well. But like Kirsty just said, we have just had this with a client who, they've come on board. They were referred to us, and bizarrely, even though they were referred to us on the back of someone who we're not doing that kind of outcome-based work for them, they've expected outcomes. They're expecting us to revolutionize their social media, and we've had to make it really clear that that's not what we do. We are instructed by you as your assistant to do the jobs you're asking us to do. We're not there to get results. And I do think it's important that VAs know their boundaries and they make that really clear. And I have started to put into proposals, because we have made the shift to the OBM space, and one of the reasons we've made that shift is so that we can offer now traditional VA support and managed VA support. And if clients want that kind of outcome-based support, then they'll have to go down the higher paying managed VA service route so that we can do that for them. But you can't, even if you took on a digital marketing agency for your Google ads, even they can't promise results. Some of this is based on the market fluctuations. It's based on you and your responsiveness. So I think being very careful in 2026 about not promising results. You can promise that you can clear someone's inbox, but you can't promise you're going to get them to 10,000 followers. Do you know what I mean?
This is the thing, and I think it's again, we have this conversation quite often on various different things, but it's really key to be able to say that to somebody. If you're speaking with a new client or potential new client, and their expectation is for you to increase their income or whatever, it's really clear and key to say to them, that's not what I'm here for. I'm not gonna be that person for you. I'm there to support you, to get you to that point.
Yeah.
So I think it's really sort of, key to be able to say that straight off.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if you think you're really good at it, even if you think you can do it, you shouldn't promise that anyway. And in our proposals now, we do say, we cannot promise results, because I offer business strategy and launch strategy. And in some of the launch strategies, we'll put a 90-day action plan together and how we're going to launch someone's product or service. But what I can't do is then make that be a success, So, for example, I've just done this work for a client. I've put all of the built the website around it, the sales page, the automations, all of the things that I need to do in the background to get it working functionally, because this is going to be for a masterclass that leads to group coaching. But then that person has to go out there and market it.
Yeah.
And that I can't, just because I'm putting all the background work in, I can't make people sign up, and that's what I think we've got to be really, really careful of, for sure. But drop it in the comments if anybody else is experiencing this kind of thing. The other funny thing is, I had an actual text conversation with a client this morning. I dropped her a voice note a couple of days ago, because she's just like, pay as you go. I'd just done a website for her, and she just wanted to like have a retainer, pay as you go, by the hour, so that she can always drop in. And she put an hour on, and straight away half an hour has gone on emails and texts. And I said to her in this voice note, look, let's save this time for the important work, because every time that I'm responding to you, it's just using the time. And she's dropped me a voice note and said, you don't time, do you, for all of these texts and these emails? Yeah. And I did a little laugh, like, yeah, because all of that time adds up, and that's time I can't spend on someone else. You know what I mean? I'm like,
do you know, it's really funny, because I had the same conversation yesterday with somebody, because they have now paused for other reasons, and they were like, could you just quickly do this for me? Or and I was like, well, no, because you've got no time left. They're like, oh, right, okay, so they're going to hopefully unpause. But they were like, well, can I just pause it for a bit longer? But I said, oh, I can't guarantee I'll be available, because they were like, well, why not? And I said, well, if I keep those hours for you, I'm not getting paid for those hours. Exactly. And I can't then work with somebody else, which means I'm down on my income.
Yeah.
And they were like, I never thought of that. They didn't even realise, it didn't enter their heads. Do you know what I mean? That was a thing.
Oh, that's crazy. Like, I think sometimes we do have to be brave enough to make things really obvious to clients, because they genuinely sometimes aren't being funny or disrespectful. They just don't realise, and you have to make it clear.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about the packages and how we sell our services as VAs, and whether or not that needs to change in 2026. I still think and strongly believe that hourly, the packaged up time by hours works. And the reason for that is because you can charge up front. It just makes you able to manage your time, know where you're at, know your capacity, and you can charge up front. And so for anyone who isn't, and they are still charging on invoice, please don't do that, because it just doesn't protect you. And like Kirsty just said, one of the problems with that is, I always give this example. If you have a client and you're just charging them based on the hours they use in a month, but one month you have 20 hours and the next month they have 40 and then the next month they have 30, you're always going to have to keep available for them the highest amount of hours they've ever used, which is 40, even if you're not doing 40, because you've promised them that you can just be there for them. So packaging up time into hourly packages, I think, really is still key. But I think there are other ways you can do this now. I definitely think that you can offer day rates. And I know I've spoken to some VAs who are going down the day rate route. And part of the reason they're going down that route is for example, if you hired a plumber and they came out and had to do a job for 3 hours, they wouldn't charge 3 hours, they would charge a day. And the reason they would charge a day is because they are unlikely to be able to then go and work elsewhere. So I think for some clients, charging a day rate is helpful, and you can still put hours around that, just so they know kind of, if they want to have, like, I don't know, let's say more full-time support from you, but they don't want full-time hours, like 8 hours a day, but maybe they're having 5 hours a day, or three or four. I think then you really should charge a day rate, because they're going to expect so much back and forth from you. We've talked about letting clients know what times you work and what days you work for them, and I do think that is important, because they the amount of clients who are just texting you and they're expecting an immediate response, but you've already done their work for that day and you can't come back to it. So I do think you can go down that route. I also think you can offer VIP days, where you could say, look, you don't need to have my services full time, but we could spend a whole day together and get all your work done. Maybe this is automation setup or a funnel built or something like that. And you could offer that as, speed and relief. So they're getting the speed of getting that outcome that they want, and the relief of having it done, so they're not having to do it themselves, but they're also not having to take you on full time. So, you could offer VIP days this year. I think that would definitely work, especially because of the terminology. A lot of people are doing this now. Business coaches are doing it, so people understand what it is and what they're going to get out of it. What do you think?
Yeah, I see. I'm not sure about that VIP thing, because I think unless you are really clear, because we all know what clients are like. If you do like a VIP day, that's going to have to be really clear that that is their day, and then the next day is not going to be, or could you just, or I'll message you but you haven't replied, that kind of thing. So I think if you're doing that, it's got to be really clear that is like, what it is. That's their day.
Yeah.
And anything after that will need to be is additional time or whatever.
Yeah, obviously you'd have to make that really, really clear. But I do think, we do similar things to that, but not a whole day. And I think the reason why I'm saying a whole day, because we do like 2-hour setup service, that kind of thing, is because at the end of that 2 hours, they're asking for more work. So I think if you did a day, it's a day or nothing. That's what they know, what they're getting then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We now do our blueprints, our strategic blueprints, and people know they're getting a 2.5-hour session to go through their business, and then give them the blueprint at the end of it. They're not then asking me for anything after that, because it's made very clear, if you now want me to do more work, here's a proposal. So one of the things you can do if you offered a VIP day is you could do the work. You could then, at the end of that day, send the proposal. Hey, it was great working with you. If you want to have any more of my time, here's a proposal for how we could work together going forward.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea. And I think as well, I think I've certainly seen referrals as well. So if somebody does do like a VIP day and everything's done on that day, they can refer you to say, well, this person will do everything you need to be done in a day or whatever. So rather than somebody take on a VA full time, or on like a package, you could offer that day as a one-off.
Yeah, absolutely. And packages as well of diversifying your products. So looking at the most popular things that clients ask for and then putting those into smaller packages so they're not having to work with you full time, but you can do something like a CRM migration package or a website building package. And so I still think all of these things work. But where I do think VAs need to step up this year is in AI. I think what you've got to remember is we're not going to be replaced by AI fully. Because clients are still time poor. The reason they come to you in the first place is they just don't have time to do the things themselves. And so, whilst they are utilizing AI and it will replace some of the things we used to do for clients, like blog post writing and that kind of thing, they still don't know how to implement it fully.
Yeah.
And this is things like creating AI agents. It could be knowing how to prompt correctly. It could be training an AI. It could be using AI to create content from videos. All of these things. And we talked about this in a previous session where if you can get really, really good at a particular area of AI, and let's say it was something like AI reels, you could take, look, for our podcast, for example, our live, and split that out into multiple forms of content through AI, then that's brilliant, a brilliant thing. Yeah, I need that. That's great, but I haven't got the time to do it. If someone else could just do solely that, you'd like niching into a particular AI, AI area. I think that could work really, really well. And I've actually started to see people doing it. Like I've had a couple of people the last few days on Instagram where that's all they do is, like, for example, AI reels. So I think if you can get really, really good, like I've just built an AI agent. It's called Lisa VA, and it's an AI version of me, and it coaches VAs. And
Wow.
so I'm gonna share it with you afterwards, right? It's so good. It even speaks to you. And we had a phone call, and I'm telling her, right, all this stuff in the business, and she's like, "Oh wow, Lisa," and she's chatting to me. Oh my God, it's insane. It is
What the
insane.
hell?
And it's just for VAs. So that is coming in our membership. So I'm going to be releasing it. I'm still doing some training on it, but I'm going to give it to everybody that is in our Growth Essentials and VIP Access membership. They're going to get it in their CRM, the little link at the bottom. Click on it, go to a screen, and they can get some free help from an actual VA coach.
Do you know what? That's amazing. And actually, I've been doing some courses with my separate client, and we're using, is it HeyGen?
Yes.
Like it literally, she's done a video for me this week to do as to promote something, and it's her voice, it's her face, it's literally. I was like,
Another client of mine used that. Yeah,
it's mental, like how it is progressing. But I think that was one of my other points I was going to say. Like people think that AI is going to replace VAs and all that kind of thing. But again, like you say, clients are still time poor. You can have all the systems in place you possibly can. It doesn't give you back more time, does it? It doesn't, because you're always going to need somebody there in the background. And I'll use this as a good example because a client that's paused at the moment, I've put so many things in place now that he doesn't know how to do things now without me.
Exactly.
He literally said to me this morning, I literally don't know what to do without you. So because everything's in place now. So I think although, and he was like AI this and AI, and he was like, nah, I'm doing away with that. I can't do with it. Although it's a great system and all the rest of it. But people are still going to need live people, human beings, to be able to do those phone calls or, be there to be the supportive person that we are to our clients. So I don't think AI will ever eradicate VAs personally.
No, and I think one of the big things that's been spoken about this year is how important human connection is.
Yeah.
So I think they're still going to need that human connection. Although it was fantastic talking to my version of my AI self on the phone, it still wasn't a person, and I was acutely aware of that. You could tell though, it was amazing. Honestly, I can't wait to show you. But
see, you are a tech VA.
Talking about that, so just to go back, what we're saying is what's changed this year is clients are expecting strategy now. They're expecting outcomes. They're not just expecting you to sit there and go, What do you want me to do? Completely changed. It's gone. And there is a rise in hybrid roles now. So VA slash OBM, VA who's a tech VA, VA AI setup. So I think you've got to now think more strategically about how you sell your services. I mean, you can be honest about it as well. So what you can say is, hey, I create presentations really fast using AI. There's an app, like a software, I've showed it you before, where I taught people this in a workshop, and I went in and you just tell it what you want it to be about, and it creates the entire presentation and images for you. You have to pay for it, but if you was paying for that as a VA and that was your only on cost, and then you sold that as a service, and you're just honest, yeah, I'm creating AI, but the beauty of it is because I'm an expert in this area, I can do it faster than a VA that's doing it in Canva. It's going to take them an hour. I'm going to do it in half an hour, half that time. It's a no-brainer. So, but what you've got to do is you've got to be brave enough to fully niche into that particular bit of AI. You can't be like broad AI, oh, I can do all of this. It has to be like, fully into that and start shouting about it from the rooftops. And I did say, go away over Christmas, just YouTube the hell out of learning in one particular area and go off and do it.
Do you know what? It's really interesting because I think, as everybody knows, I'm not very good with technology, but I created a website. Now I did it purely because someone said to me, "Oh, have you ever tried this AI platform?" And I was like, "Don't really know much about it." Went into it, set it all up, and I was like, "Can you create me a website using these colours with this information?" Blah 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 blah. It took me about 6 minutes to put all the information in. Within about 10 minutes, it created this whole website for me. And I was like, but if you're going to go into that, you have to really invest time into understanding and learning it. So YouTube is great. So for the store that I'm doing at the moment, I was really stuck and I was getting really stressed about it. And I was like, right, I'll just take the day and we'll just take it one bit at a time. So I YouTubed it, and this American guy came on and he was like very enthusiastic and shouting and all that kind of thing. But I did it.
Yeah.
And this was like 16 minutes long. And I'd spent hours and hours stressing about it and trying to do it and getting really frustrated. But YouTube, when you need to learn something, is great.
It is. It's absolutely fantastic, and you don't need a bloody certificate. Just go and do it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Amazing. I think AI is massive, and the VAs that aren't using it are gonna get left behind really quickly. Same as automation. Automation was the thing before AI, really, and I do believe that the VAs that can do all of that are gonna succeed. And there's loads of things that can be automated now. So if you're still offering things like inbox sorting, inbox detox, well, I think that's dead because it can totally be automated now. Same as writing captions and social media. I'm not saying that social media managers are no longer needed, because they definitely are. However, lots of people now are just creating their social posts through AI. So it's kind of like going to be redundant. If you can level up and say, right, I'm going to embrace these other tools and go down this avenue, then I think absolutely you're going to stay competitive. AI isn't replacing VAs, it's just changing what clients will pay for. And we're going to be really open about it. I'd love to ask the people listening, so what client requests have you noticed that have changed recently from when you first started out? Just drop it in the comments, get involved in the conversation. And then what else do we think is changing in 2026 when it comes to the VA industry? People are still talking that it's saturated, but I don't think that it is. I think that if you change your title, so you don't have to be a VA, but you can still do a VA role. I speak to people all the time that I had no idea that they're like events managers, but actually they're VAs. You know what I mean? So if you change your title so that it stands out on your profile, on LinkedIn and Instagram, so it's not just VA, then people are going to be able, because it's keyword searchable on Google now, your Instagram. It's not just keyword searchable in Instagram. So I think if you can be really clever about what you call yourself as well, that can make a difference to how people find you.
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting as well that from somebody who doesn't really post on social media very often, which I should do, but I think from my side, like last week I had 3 LinkedIn messages from people that I've worked, referrals, asking if I was available for work. And I think with the referral side, we've certainly got a lot of our clients from referrals. So I think, you know, shout about, get the people, even if you've just done a VIP day or you've done a package, get them to write you a testimonial, put it at the bottom of your emails, in your email signature, or put it on your social media or your website, whatever. Because if people can see what people are saying about you, that's really key. And ask people to even if you're still working with that client, what we do is we have a referral system that if the referral comes through and they sign up and they stay for 2 months, that client from that referred them get free time or another option. So really shout about everybody that you've worked with, get them to write you a testimonial and get the referrals in, because I think that's going to be quite key. I think, you know, I do a lot of lead generation, and I think that is slowly going out the door. Like it's still, because it's, you know, it's like messages on LinkedIn and emails and things like that. And although we are still getting traction from it, it's not quite as, you know, the ratio is not quite as high as it normally is. So I know that on LinkedIn, videos are massive at the moment, or voice notes, rather than just kind of sending out message kind of thing. So I think that's changing as well.
Yeah, it is. I think it's not the fact that lead generation's changed, it's the way you approach it that's changed.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Because people do want personal relationships now. They don't want spam. They don't want sales ick. You know, they just want real relationships with people. I think we have already touched on it, but kind of further niching your role as a VA, not just being a generalist VA. Things like podcast VAs, legal VAs, AI prompt builders. These are all the kind of things you can fully niche into. I know an associate that very first started with me, a lovely lady called Tracy. She tried for years as a VA, and then just turned fully into podcast VA. And that's brilliant because you know exactly what you're getting and you know where to go and who to use for that service then. And podcasts are massive. Do you know what I mean? So if you can really think ahead, what's coming this year, that's huge, that you could get ahead of and say, I'm gonna really go into that, like podcasting. Who would have thought it would get so big? And I'm gonna go over there and I'm gonna get big on that, you know, video editing, all of that kind of thing. If you can do that, and that's where I keep coming back to AI. I do think really thinking about AI this year. I think it's just going to make you stand out massively, but making sure that you're changing all your links in your bio and all of that so people know exactly what you are doing. There is a rise of productised services, digital products as well now. So you don't be afraid to offer some of your services, like as in, I don't know, you could do training, like a course, teach clients on how to do things that they don't want to take someone on for, but they're really fed up of it. And it could be something like an inbox declutter. You know, I've spoke about this. We offered it for years. No one ever bought it. VAs still offer it. Instead, do a little course, a little mini course on how you can easily clear your inbox and keep on top of it and sell it. You could do things like that as well, and do what we're doing. You know, we've turned into more strategic support. So becoming business strategist, you've got all of this knowledge, all of these skills from your years of being a VA. How else can you sell that knowledge? So thinking about that. I mean, Kirsty, when you first started with me, I didn't know until, you know, a few months in that you was an expert in selling on Amazon, and in particular the import and export of alcohol.
I mean, and this is something I always say, and I should do it, but I'm just so time poor at the minute. I've got no time at the moment. That it's very complex trying to get into Amazon because they've got two different sides. And you really have to know absolutely how to get it right from first off, because everyone goes to Amazon straight away for everything. And so I think it is a really good idea to do that as a course. And there probably are people out there that have done something in their previous employment that nobody else would be offering. You can turn that into either a sellable course or use it as your niche, or if there's something specific, you can develop it. But I never thought, I could do that and sell it as a course. Yeah. Because these things don't enter your head unless somebody says it to you. So it's this kind of podcast is good for people to jump on and say, well, I did this in the past. What do you think I could do with it? Because we've got the experience of saying, well, actually, if you have got that, you could do this, 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 and this. So it's always good to kind of jump on here and sort of ask us what you can do with your skill.
Yeah, pop it in the comments. What is your past skills? Put about 3 of them down, all the things that you're good at or what you're qualified in, and let's come up with some ideas while we're here and how you can monetize on that. But there's so many things, like CRM setup. But it's thinking about things that clients really need but just don't have the time. They're too overwhelmed. How can you monopolize on those things? Like I say, CRM setup. Yeah, I need a CRM. I don't have a clue how to do it. Do it for me. And so you don't. The best way to sell your services is an entry level. So you're going to offer a package that's not full time. So it's just, for example, I'm using the CRM setup. We can come and set up your CRM, but then after you've done that, oh, did you know that we could then continue to manage that for you on a monthly basis? And this is what it costs. And it just makes it easier to get people in the door if you do it that way. Do you know what I mean?
And I think as well, once you're doing something like that, I mean, a lot of people know what a VA can do in terms of general admin. But I think once you're doing something like a CRM migration, you can then make suggestions to that client to say, as you've just said, that they might not realize that they can do that with that system, or you can do that with that system. So I think it's really key to be confident enough to actually shout out about what you can do to that client.
Absolutely, you've got to, and the other thing is, educate your clients on the other things you can do. You did that with one of your clients; he had no idea.
No idea whatsoever. Absolutely no clue. And now we're in that situation where I do that much for him that he can't do without me. So it's sort of like I've sort of dragged him into the 20th century. See what I mean?
Are any of you thinking about changing the way you do things this year? Just let us know, what you're thinking of changing. And, it is about looking at what works and what doesn't. And one of the things we did quite not early on, but we did change our packages to reflect the way things were going with clients. So one of the things we found was that we were just general VAs, like most people. We offered time blocks, 5, 10, 15 hours, but then clients would then initially come to you for something like admin and then say, oh, can you create me a brochure, can you do a website, can you create this presentation, can you do my social media? And it started to really blur the lines because we weren't getting paid for that type of work. So we broke our packages into 3. Originally it was 5, but now we've moved it to 3, which is simply admin. What you're getting is just admin plus marketing, and admin plus tech. And that way we can charge more for those more specialized services. And I think that the reason we reacted to that at the time was because that's what we could see happening. And I think you do have to be reactive. You have to really notice what's happening with clients and make changes. Like this year, we've said, do you know what? We're not doing anymore. We're not doing 5-hour packages anymore. It's not worth it. We're doing 10 hours. And if you don't like it, you can go somewhere else. And the reason is 5 hours, I just think doesn't work anymore. Clients they always want more.
Exactly. I was literally just going to say that. And I think the realization, it's quite funny actually, because I was having this conversation with Craig last night. And it's quite interesting that people don't realize that 5 hours per month is 15 minutes a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as per your conversation about the conversation with your client this morning over text messages, by the time you've opened that message, by the time you started the clock, opened that message, read the message, digressed the message, replied to the message, that's a couple of minutes in already, right? Yeah. So down to 12 minutes, right? By the time you then go, it's 15 minutes is nothing. And I think as a solo VA specifically, 15 minutes a day is just not worth my time. And I know that sounds really like, ugh, but it actually isn't. It's more of a waste of my time than a benefit to me.
100%. It's just not worth it. And if you free yourself up to work with clients that are willing to pay for 10 hours and above, well, you're gonna hit your income goals more, easier. You can have lots of 5-hour clients. It's just too much hassle, too much headache. And I'll generally find that clients paying for 5 hours, not to be horrible, but they're the worst. They're the most demanding. They want the most for nothing. Gemma Assist VA has said she's definitely packaging hours and paying in advance this year. I'm really glad to hear that because it's one of the biggest bugbears with VAs that are still paying, allowing people to pay on invoice. You've got to package your hours and then you can pay in advance. We have never, ever, ever had a client question it, complain, nothing. I've actually just done a proposal for a client for £6,300 a month, and they have to pay in advance. Yeah, it makes no difference that it's a bigger client. They're paying me up front. That's far too much money to potentially lose. So I'm really, really happy to hear that you're doing that. And anyone else listening that isn't doing it, you need to do it. Thinking about the results side of things, of clients that do want results, and how you can, we've noticed clients want outcomes, they want results. Okay, so let's move with that trend then. How can we offer, what one thing could we sell in 30 days that could be results driven? So you could turn that into a package or a product and say, hey, I can guarantee this result for you in 30 days. Now, that doesn't have to be something like more subscribers and more money. It could be, I can guarantee that I can create you a funnel, a lead magnet funnel workflow that you can duplicate and use and repeat, and will work successfully every time, and I can do that for you in 30 days. Now, I could offer that to people, and it's really easy to do. The normal sequence with something like that is you're going to create a sales page for a lead magnet. Someone's going to come to the sales page, they're going to download the lead magnet, they're going to get an email with the lead magnet, they're going to go into an automated workflow, they get tagged, they then get a series of email, nurture emails, 6 to 7 nurture emails to get them to buy your bigger offer. Once you've created one of those, you can just train the client how to duplicate it. Now they've got this amazing system that works all the time, and it is results driven, because I can guarantee you that this is going to work. What I can't do is make people download the thing. That's your job. But you can still offer that in that terminology, as I can guarantee this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think any client out there, that's a key word, isn't it? Results. You know, that's evidently that's what they want out of you, but it has to be in the right terminology. So you're not saying, well, I can, you know, increase your client database, or I can increase your income, or anything like that. It's actually about getting them into the position where they can do their part, which is the income and the client database.
100%. And I think I'm actually going to go away and do that. I'm going to just start shouting about it and say, I can guarantee you this, and I'm going to do it. Why not?
Normally it's me that comes up with the things when we're talking on here. Now it's you.
Now, actually, I'm going to be controversial, because what you could do is be completely against AI. Now, there are going to be some clients out there who do not want to use it. They are going to have ethical mindset. They're not going to be happy about it. I actually know someone who lost a marketing job because they used AI. So a contract, it was a freelancer. And that wasn't their bag at all. So what you could do, if you're brave enough, and if you're noticing that there are people out there saying, I think AI is here to take jobs, it's going to ruin the world. The rise of AI is, you know, we're using more data centers. Look into this. Data centers then have to be cooled, and it's using up water. It's melting the polar ice caps. It's causing global warming. So it has a lot of impact on the environment. So there are going to be people who are aware of that, and if you can find those people and start watching what they're saying, how they're posting, and see that they're against it, you could become the non-AI VA and really niche into that. You don't do that. So I used to have a client called Not a Business Coach. It was a business coach, but the whole point was that he wasn't acting like he was more like a friend. But in this circumstance, you wouldn't use AI at all, and there are going to be people out there that want that.
So, there are, I think, but I don't know how big that would be.
Well, you'd have to look at it, but I bet if you started looking at it, you'd realise there is a market for it. Now, imagine the average VA can only work with about 13 clients, 13 clients. Then you're at capacity. You only need 13 people that want that. I don't want VAs that are using AI. I don't want VAs that aren't thinking about the environment. You only need 13 of those people.
Yeah.
It's not a lot.
It would be interesting to see what the response would be on something like that.
Maybe we should do some research.
Maybe we should do a poll. I can do polls on LinkedIn now.
Has anybody listening heard of people that are dead against AI and they're never going to use it? Because there are people that are against, they're off grid, aren't they? And
Yeah.
like the technology side of things. So, but they might still need that kind of support. And even going down the environmental route, but you should do that from like a heart place. There are going to be people that, you can be the green VA, that kind of thing as well. So anything like that, like I worked for a charity for 8 years. I could have easily niched into the non-profit as a non-profit, specialist, but I didn't. But you could. So it is thinking about what that demand is, but versus what your experience is and how you can bring that to the table. But it'd be interesting, wouldn't it, to look at people who are against AI and how you could support them.
That is also a very good name, actually, if anybody's thinking about going down that route, the Green VA.
Green VA might already be out there, who knows? I think one of the new skills, it's not really new, but one of the big things, if you can offer, is systems. People are systemizing like mad. They need their standard operating procedures in place. They want their systems and processes laid out. So even if you offered a service where you went into someone's business, you saw the way they worked, you saw their CRM setup automations, and you offered to put them all into a standard operating process for them, a SOP, so that when they start to take on employees, they've got that to use to then to work. Because one of the problems clients have when we take them on is sometimes they're not very forthcoming with work because they just feel like they don't know how to explain it all to you. They don't have the time. But if they was to have a SOP there, it'd be easy. You could just hit the ground running.
Yeah.
So even if you could offer services like that, where you just go in and you systemize for people, that is something people really want now, because we're using so many tools and we're doing this new program and we're doing this new thing over here. And if you can come in and be the person that brings calm to that storm, again, it's a foot in the door, and then they might want to keep you on.
It's quite interesting, actually, because one of the clients that I work with through the agency, and I've worked with him since day dot, and they're a really nice family. They've got a great business. They really trust us, And his wife actually came to me before Christmas and said, I've got a new starter coming at the end of January. I don't have a contract. I don't have a handbook. I don't have any HR medical forms, nothing. And she said, is that it? Can you help me do any of those? Because she's not kind of, she's more a physical person rather than And so I said, yeah, I can do all that. She was like, well, all of it. And I said, yeah, just send me what you need and I'll do it. And I've done most of it. I'm still waiting for her to come back to me. And I did some more yesterday, and I was looking at it and I was like, there are so many people out there that don't have these things in place because they've never really taken anybody else on, like clients that are maybe taken on an administrator or something like that they don't have contracts and they don't have a staff handbook and all of that kind of thing. So you could use that as a niche as well.
Yeah, we was negotiating with a really big accountancy firm last year, weren't we? Who admitted that their team don't have contracts and things like that. And so everybody needs that. So if you was to market yourself in that way, especially if you've got legal experience, so I think that's more of a legal niche or a HR niche for sure, then I think a VA who's doing some ad hoc HR support is a lot cheaper than a fractional HR person. So you could definitely niche into that as well. I want to just briefly talk about the marketing trends that are changing this year as well, because a lot has changed, particularly on Instagram. Instagram is massively changed. Their algorithm has moved to an AI algorithm now, and it needs you to be really clear about what you're doing. So it's not about fancy posts anymore. It's really straight to the point, really clear what you do so it knows, and that's it. And you need to be using alt text on your posts. So when you create your post, if you're doing it in like a scheduler, you can't do that. But once your post has gone out, if you go to edit, you'll see the alt text option, and then you just go, and alt text is because accessibility now is massive. There was a law change last year in the EEA, so websites have to be accessible friendly, and it's the same with posts. So it's not a way to stuff keywords in there. If you've got a picture of you on a laptop, then you'll say your name on a laptop, or you'll say woman on a laptop. It's not Kirsty Moore virtual assistant. It's just saying what the picture is. So that's really important this year to be doing that. Short form video is still huge. but so is long form, because Instagram's just rolled out 20-minute videos.
Oh,
So
have they?
yeah, 20-minute videos. You have to do it inside the actual app. I've just done one. The only problem is, and you can schedule it in Instagram. It won't show necessarily to new audiences, but it will show to your existing audience. So it's really good if you really want your existing audience to notice more of what you want to say. Obviously, you can do long videos on TikTok anyway, but people do like to buy from consistent educators. So if you're consistently giving value, educating people, they're more likely to take notice. The other thing that works really well is in your stories. If you put polls in your stories, and the polls can be about anything. Like yesterday, I did a couple, and it was about the snow. So it was, what do we think? Is it going to snow? And then put various options in. And the reason you do that is because with stories, if you that people engage with it, with the poll, the algorithm says, oh, people like this person, they like this channel, and we're going to send more people there. So that's another thing that you can just do every single day as well. But relationships are the biggest thing. People do want relationships. So if you're going to do things like DMs, the best way to do it is, I have one for my VA community. So when I follow a VA and a VA follows me, I say, hey, I'm so nice to have you here. I'm currently growing my community for VAs. I'd love to be able to send you over the link to our free membership. And then they often say, oh yeah, that'd be great. And I send it over to them. Amazing, here you go. What you would then do, so that's when I'm trying to build up the membership. Let's say I'm doing this for my ideal clients for my business management company. I would follow my ideal client, and I'd then follow me back, and then I'd say, thank you so much for the follow, really appreciate it. Can you tell me a little bit more about you? They're going to tell me a bit more about them. This has to be real. It can't be like saved replies. And then you're going to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And you do this over about 4 messages over a couple of months. It can't be quick. And then you can say, look, I've been following you for a while now. I noticed what you're doing, and I think there could be something there with how we could perhaps work together. Do you fancy a virtual coffee? That's how it's going to work. But these DMs that are just like, I had one where it was I've just followed someone. I had an instant message, must be automated. Thanks for the follow. I'm doing this thing. I'd love for you to come. I'm not. That's just too like in your face. It has to be something that you're giving to someone for free, not salesy. We get these LinkedIn messages all the time now, right? And it just harasses me. What I'm fed up of is getting the ones in email, because I haven't signed up for them.
Yeah. It's off-putting. Like, I had one from LinkedIn last week from some random person.
Yeah.
But they literally started off salesy. And I think people do like to have that personal side still, don't they? Of like, hi, how are you? Particularly at the moment, Happy New Year, how was your Christmas? That kind of thing, blah, blah, blah. So you're nurturing that relationship rather than going, do you want to work with me? Because people go, oh, no, who are you? I don't know anything about you, kind of thing. So if you're nurturing it and doing it slowly, catch your monkey, as they say, then it's you get more out of it, I think.
Yeah, it's longer, it's more painful, but it works in the long run. And we do it, and I keep a tracker. I've just started a new one in our CRM for a new type of outreach on LinkedIn, where it's a connection request. I send a note with the connection request. Then if they accept, I'll drop them a thank you. And then it's just that same thing, but I do it with local people in my area, so I can then talk about the area. So we've got something in common. So it is the long game, but we've got clients that way. So it's definitely worth doing it. I think this year, the niche is not really about industry. It's about your function. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that you are a medical VA. I think that's still great though. But if you can be specialised in a function, AI VA, launch VA, CRM VA, podcast VA, client experience VA, and you can really further niche what type of VA you are, I think that's going to be the big thing this year.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I think we are moving out of that whole general PA kind of thing. It's definitely moving in a more technical way. And my best advice to anybody would be to get ahead of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And ironically, if you charge too low now, you're probably gonna put yourself out of the game. Underpricing is risky because expectations are higher.
Yeah.
So if you have to be charged the rate that's going to offer that value. If clients look at you and go, "What, you're only charging £30 an hour, but you're going to revolutionise my social media," they're not going to believe you.
No.
So you really do have to charge the right prices, because they're going to feel more certain about what you're going to be able to deliver. So that's a bonus.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I think, people will naturally search, won't they? And they'll look at a lot of VAs don't put pricing on their websites, or they'll, they just put their packages up there, which again will sometimes people can be put off with not having a price, because they like to see what they're going to be paying before they actually inquire. So I'm not quite sure about that one, but people will generally just search for VAs and look at their pricing and look at their packages. So you get that right within your, your social media, and if you've got a website or whatever you've got, get it right, and then don't be afraid to up that price either.
Yeah,
if you do get new skills,
especially now, this is the right time to do it this year. Anybody got any questions at all about what we're speaking about? Pop them in the comments, because we're about to wrap up. I'm just going to give you a practical list of what you should double down on in 2026. So you've got to start to offer clarity. So like a one-liner and the outcome. So make that clear in your profile, make that clear in all of your social posts. What is it that you are going to deliver? What will the outcome for that be? Proof. So what you said, Kirsty, you want to have testimonials, take screenshots of testimonials, as well as posting them, because screenshots work really well, because they can see that it's, that's real, you've actually taken a photo of that. Because sometimes when you copy and paste them and you put them into like a Canva template, anyone could do that. Do you know what I mean? Case studies, metrics, if you've got the data to back up what you're saying as well. So if you have got any results data, like you have increased somebody's social media followers or whatever, use it to your advantage. Don't be scared to ask clients if you can use their work as a case study as well. We have case studies for our websites that we build for people, and we display them all on the website. Systems and automation literacy. So don't be too tech heavy in your terminology, but talk about how you can help people with their systems and their automation. And then sales basics. So what we do, lead generation. So if you can offer outreach, follow-up, pipeline tracking, these are all things clients know they have to do. They'll be going to seminars, they'll be going to conferences, they'll be going to training, they'll be having business coaches telling them they've got to do these things, but they won't have the time to do them. So if this is something you can double down on, that's really going to help you out. But again, it doesn't mean you have to necessarily offer results. And then thinking about boundaries and processes. So making sure that if people haven't got those in place, that you put them in for them, same as standard operating processes. So anything like that you can, contact people on and say, have you got your boundaries document? What I mean by that is, so in our contracts, we have a boundaries section that makes clients aware that if they contact us, for example, on a Friday, 4:00, we're not going to do the work till Monday. They have to give 24 hours notice. So if you're following your ideal clients properly and you're seeing their pain points, they're talking about these issues, then you can use those issues to go back to them and say, why don't we put this into your contract? Why don't I offer you some support on systemizing your processes, which would be great for when you're ready to take someone on in the future. So all of these kind of things that we've just spoken about, you can really use them to your advantage in a new way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. And I think it's a good point about what you said about the tech. It's all very well being transparent in how technical you are, but try not to overwhelm the client. If they're not so tech savvy like you are, they might become bamboozled and overwhelmed, which then might make them very nervous, kind of thing. So just it's not massively salesy. And also, if you are tech savvy, explain what you're actually going to do. Don't just tell them what you're going to do. Explain to them what you're going to do and why you're going to do it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of making videos, as you know.
Yeah, oh my God, yeah, I love your videos.
Like, do videos for people, show them exactly what they have to do, just easier. So 2026, big year for VAs. We're definitely going to be needed. Things have really ramped up, but go out there, niche into your specialism as a VA, and think about niching into AI as well. So next week we'll be back and we will be talking about getting clients in a crowded market. So what's still working in 2026. So really more of a deep dive into the getting clients is a big one. That's all we ever get asked. How do you get clients? How do you get clients? I have actually got a workshop on the 30th of January, how to get clients. You can head to the link in the bio or DM us, and I can send you the link over for that. It's well worth joining. It's a 3-hour intensive workshop, because there is no magic wand, but you'll see lots of VA gurus and ebooks offering fluffy ways to get clients, but there's actual real strategy to it. It's not that simple. So yeah, we've got that coming. I've got some really exciting things coming this year for VAs as well. Some group programs. One starting in February, and it's getting started as a VA. I keep getting asked, particularly on TikTok, and I just didn't want to do a course. I thought I'd rather sit there with people and do it. And then the other one is going to be transitioning from a solo VA to an agency. So I'm going to do those this year as well. And if you're interested in them, make sure you're following so that you can hear more about it. Thank you everyone for joining, and we will see you next week.